All right, so we have a 10.75 pound pork butt, also referred to as a Boston butt. And we're gonna cook this up tomorrow on the Oklahoma Joe's Bronco, which is a barrel smoker that has the heat coming from the bottom. So I'm gonna trim this up, kind of show you how I trim it and how I doctor it. Today, we're gonna go real simple. I'm not gonna get real complicated. I'm gonna go just with Malcolm Reed's Killer Hog barbecue rub, because I haven't tried this just by itself, and I want to see how it tastes on a full pork butt. So first thing we do is I'm going to actually trim the fat. This is, like I said, 10.75 pound bone-in pork butt. So we flip it over. I'm going to start off on the fat cap side, if you will. And there's not really a whole lot of trimming you got to do, but this fat cap is pretty thick on these butts. It doesn't want to render real well, so I like to just kind of trim it down just a little bit, take off some of that excess fat. No real clean way to do it, just kind of take a little bit of that off. Just so it will render down. Now I'm going to actually have this cooking fat side down, and the reason being for that is my heat source is going to be from the bottom. So I'm not going to take off too much fat here, but just want to clean it up enough to where it does indeed render throughout the cooking process. So as you can see, I took a pretty good gas there, no big deal. I mean, these pork butts are forgiving. You have to work pretty hard to mess these things up. So I'm just going to kind of trim it down a little bit lighter. Keep taking it down there, right, controllable cap on there. Get it down there to about that range. It's about somewhere around a 1/4 inch, something like that. Take off a little bit of this here on the side. Kind of shaving it down, getting it to where you like it. Hey, I have taken this fat cap all the way off before, all the way down to the meat. And there's so much fat in these pork butts that, I mean, you're not going to mess it up unless you got it cooking like 500 degrees, especially if you got it indirect, even on a barrel smoker, you know, with your heat source at the bottom. I mean, you're going to be good. Just kind of clean it up like that. Get it down to an area that you like. I'm going to spin my chopping block around here so my camera will maintain a pretty decent view. And I have, like I said, I've taken it all the way off before, cooked fine, and I've also had it where I didn't trim it at all. Cooks good then also, but depending on how it renders throughout the cooking process, you can end up having a lot of excess fat, which to me there's no purpose for. Once I get that done, throw away this fat, get it out of the way. Then I'm gonna come back and I like to just score the fat cap going down to about where the fat comes to the top of the meat. No sense of going too deep with it. But you want to get it down to where that seasoning gets down to where the meat. Just take it down through there. No real science to it. As you can see, I'm not cutting through the meat, but I am going down to where the meat there is exposed. The reason you want to do that is so that seasoning and stuff can get down into the meat, not just be sitting on top of the on the fat cap. And that may not be the prettiest score, but you know, you get the point there. So I'm just gonna go back, just crisscross it. Back across there. You don't have to be perfect, because when this is all said and done, this fat's going to be rendered away. And what's not rendered away, I will get rid of. But the goal here is for it to render down, and it turns into pretty good bark. It helps to shield the heat since I'm coming from the bottom, and will help create a pretty good bark on that bottom side too there. So pretty simple there. And then what I'm going to do here, get my knife over out of the way. Just going to take some of the killer hog here I talked about a while ago, Malcolm Reed, and I'm going to go ahead and season the fat cap first because that's going to be when I put it away tonight. This is actually the night before. Put it on, let this rest start. We're going to let it season overnight. But when I get done, the fat cap will be down because whenever I go to put it on my smoker, the fat cap will be down in that smoker too. Like I said, it's a barrel smoker, the heat source coming from the bottom. So I'm going to do this side first, flip it, and then I'll do the other side, and then I'll tuck it away in a tin overnight in the refrigerator. So you just sprinkle the seasoning on there. Give it a good heavy dose. These pork butts can handle a lot because they are a big chunk of meat. Just like I said, it goes 10.75 pounds, which is a good size pork butt. So hit it really good. Kind of pat that in. This here, you see where that's kind of getting down between the fat there. That will all render really good throughout that cooking process. And you know, first few times I cooked pork butts, I made the mistake of actually not going heavy enough. So go pretty heavy on it. The fat cap doesn't need as much as I put, because a lot of that's going to render away. But that, you kind of get the point there. So just pick it up on its side. Keep doing the same thing. You push it in there good. When you get done, give it a little bit of a tap there. Just work it around. As you can see, it's taking really good to it. Keep working it. A little bit slippery there. You get it put on there, just kind of pat it in, nothing, no magic science to it, just hit it real good. Put that into it. Get over on the front. Then we're going to flip it upside down. And do this here. This is what's called the money muscle right here. Always puts a lot of good pork off. I'm gonna cut a little bit of that fat right there. That's a kind of a chunky, heavy piece that won't really help anything to the cooking process. So that's what I do. I just kind of look, if there's any big chunks that won't be beneficial, I go ahead and take them out of there. Nothing major. That side actually looks pretty good. So just take it, hit it real good. One thing about this Malcolm Reed Killer Hog, got a pretty good amount of paprika in it. Gives you a good red bark, good nice looking bark, good red color before it goes on. And this will set overnight, just like this. I'm gonna put it in a tin over here. It will set overnight, and all this stuff will sweat throughout the evening time. Start seasoning the meat, and also at the same time, it'll go ahead and start actually help start forming the bark. So we got us a good amount on there. As you can see, it's got a nice color to it. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty good. And then from there, I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see this, so I do apologize. But from there, I'm just gonna take it into this tin right here. You can see that. Put it right down just like that. Pretty simple, pretty basic. And then I'm just gonna take it, fold it up. And that thing will sit just like that overnight in the fridge. And then tomorrow morning, I plan on starting the smoker about 5, probably get these on about 6. So let's get this thing tucked away.